Hi everyone, it's Nicole. Welcome back to my channel and another STAMPtember 2025 limited edition collaboration video. This time is all about Pretty Pink Posh with the Posh roses, stamps, and coordinating dies. I decided to take my roses and give them an autumnal flair, all tucked in to a die cut pumpkin. We're going to start by stamping the roses and greenery on some smooth white cardstock using clear embossing ink and my favorite cream embossing powder. I like the cream for certain situations because I really feel like it gives a little bit warmer look than a bright white. It's a great alternative. If you don't have the cream embossing folder, I highly recommend it. After I have embossed my images, we're going to do Embossed Resist. This is a quick and easy way to add color to your die cuts if you don't want to spend the time coloring them in. We love coloring, absolutely, but sometimes, and especially with florals, I love the look of Embossed Resist, and I could make this card in about an hour, which is absolutely awesome. If I had colored in these images, it definitely would have taken quite a bit more time, having to worry about staying inside the lines and all those kinds of things. Now, you could do these florals in any color, but I did pick some of my favorite Simon Says Stamp Positively Saturated Ink colors to color these in, and I purposely picked some, very warm autumnal shades so that we could make this a beautiful fall themed thank you card. I'm starting with some artichoke ink and I am blending this. No, I'm starting with some cabbage ink. We'll finish with artichoke, and we are blending this into our greenery. Now, I do want to say that I felt like I had to keep picking up the ink. I noticed I definitely need to grab my re-inkers, and I need to re-ink a bunch of my favorite and most used Simon Says Stamp ink, including these greens. These greens are some of my favorite. I have had these for, I want to say, at least a year, I think. Well, since these came out, I've never re-inked them, and I use them all of the time. And because they get such heavy use in my craft room, I definitely think I need to re-ink these ink pads ASAP. Now, that being said, I still was able to get fantastic results. I just felt I had to dip back into my ink pad a lot. But look at this beautiful greenery. Each time you add your ink for an Embossed Resist, make sure that you go ahead and take a dry cloth, a dry paper towel. I'm going to use a microfiber cloth. Buff away any of that ink sitting on top of the embossing so you're still left with the beautiful result. Next, we're going to go in and give these beautiful autumn colors here. Definitely this ink pad doesn't get quite as much use. I love this. So let's go in and add in our area. I'm trying to do anything in the lighter shade first, and then I'll go in with the darker shade to add that blending. And I also noticed on this little bud that I missed some greenery. So whatever was left on my green blending brush, I used to give that two-tone effect. And just an FYI, detail blending brushes are going to be your friend here, because if you want to add multiple colors, it really helps you get that color right where you want it to go so that it isn't all over the place. So I did a light area and then I did a dark in the center, and now what the darker color I'm taking around the edges and I'm placing it around the edges on the second flower, and then using that third color in the shade to make that dark center. And again, buffing away any of that excess ink, it will smooth out and lighten. Now, I used butter and honey on my third flower because I wanted a yellow bloom with my kind of orange terracotta colored blooms, but it was so stark. So what I ended up doing is I kind of covered up the entire butter layer for the most part with honey. And then whatever was left on my other blending brush, the oranges, and kind of those beautiful pumpkin shades, I took that to the center of my bloom. And I really love how that turned out. Next, I'm going to take the coordinating dies and I'm going to die cut all of my images. They are all untabbed, as are Pretty Pink Posh dies now. I love the untabbed dies, as you guys all know, and a huge thank you to Simon Says Stamp for all of the wonderful untabbed dies for Stamptember. Okay, I have this wonderful stitched pumpkin die from Pretty Pink Posh that I am adding color to with Olo markers. You could definitely use your blending brush, but I decided to kind of splurge, if you will, and I did my favorite technique. It's a very unblended, just a feathering kind of technique with some markers. I used browns and some oranges here to give that wonderful pumpkin texture. One of my favorite looks for an autumn bouquet is when it's all tucked into a pumpkin. So that was kind of the inspiration behind this card. Then I took some domed arches and I die cut a card base for my card. Then I die cut that same arch from some chiffon cardstock, and I used the pierced leafy vine to die cut this to give my background a little bit of texture. This is a Pretty Pink Posh die, this pierced leaves, and I love it. In fact, you're going to see, other than the arch, which is a Simon Says Stamp nested set, the other dies I'm using are from Pretty Pink Posh. So I dipped into my Pretty Pink Posh stash to finish off my card. You could definitely mix and match with some of your other favorite companies, but that's just kind of what I did for this card. Obviously, we're focusing on Pretty Pink Posh today, but they have so many beautiful fall themed dies that I felt really worked beautifully with this rose set. So what I'm doing is I popped up the pumpkin kind of down there along the bottom edge of my card, and now I'm using a mixture of foam and liquid adhesives to assemble and attach my florals and greenery, building up this bouquet. And I love that this card is a little smaller than A2 sized. I did not use the largest nested arch die in that set. I think I used maybe the third or fourth from the largest. And I like it because I feel like it just really fits this particular design beautifully and the size and scale of what we're using. I also die cut from the bow set. So this is a bow set from Pretty Pink Posh. There's lots of great die cut bow sets out there, but I felt like our bouquet definitely needed a ribbon around it. This time we're going to have a paper ribbon. This is some Spellbinders brushed gold cardstock, and I'm simply going to pop my little bow right here at the base of my pumpkin. And then for my sentiment, I chose not to use the greetings from the stamp set this time. They're fantastic, but I wanted a bigger, bolder sentiment. So I wanted to use the die cut sentiment from Mini Thanks. I just used the thanks. I didn't use the shadow. And we're going to glue that kind of down near the base of our pumpkin bouquet or pumpkin vase, if you will. And then I'm going to go in and find my sentiment strips. It's the Sentiment Strips Halloween. There's nothing Halloween about this card, but there is a sentiment in this set from Pretty Pink Posh that says, "Hey Pumpkin," and I love the "Hey Pumpkin" thanks. I think that would be cute. If you wanted to and you don't want to use a thank you die cut, you could use like "Hey Pumpkin" and then use the mini thanks from this rose stamp set. All the stamp set names are running together for me. Posh Roses. I knew it was not paper roses. Posh Roses. You could do that, and I think that would be cute as well. Okay, now that we've kind of got a balanced design, we've got those extra little trails. Those are the little brushed gold vine things are from the Stitched Pumpkin set. I just did a couple of those. I love how they look here. After we have built this all out, it is time for extra embellishing. This is where I'm going to take some gilded foundry wax from Tim Holtz, and we're going to spatter this all over. Now, with your foundry wax, you always want to heat set this because otherwise it'll dry and just kind of brush off or smear, and that is not what we want. I want this scattering or you know, this little splatter, if you will, or spatter, of gold flecks all over. And I love how this looks on my card. I think it's a really fun little way to add a little extra something. We're also going to take some gold Positively Dazzling gems from Simon Says Stamp, and we're going to add those to the center of the bow. We're going to add a scattering of those around the card just to kind of round it out. And then we are going to take that Hey Pumpkin sentiment from the Halloween Sentiment Strips dies, and we're going to stamp that on an extra piece of cardstock. I'm using the terracotta cardstock from Spellbinders here, and we're going to stamp that and die cut it with a sentiment label die to pop up right above the word thanks. Again, I'm making sure to use the cream embossing powder instead of white, because we've used those shades of cream in the flowers. It really, I know it's hard to tell, but in real life, if you saw them side by side, the two embossing powder colors, it is very obvious. So I want to kind of stay true to that throughout this card. Now, what I love about these Posh roses is they could be in any colorway that you can imagine. It doesn't have to be fall. I turned this into a fall card, but they would be beautiful for Valentine's Day. They would be beautiful like Christmas roses. Can you imagine? They would be beautiful in all kinds of rainbow colors. You could do a very bright and colorful card. Really, the possibilities are absolutely endless. I always love a good floral set as far as being able to make it really work for whatever you want. I highly encourage you to mix and match this with other stamps and dies from your stash. If you have jar dies, jar stamp sets, or a basket stamp set, I thought the little bushel basket from Pretty Pink Posh would have been cute with these as well. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for this beautiful Posh Roses card featuring the Stamptember 2025 limited edition exclusive collaboration with Pretty Pink Posh. The supplies I used are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for joining me today for another paper crafting tutorial. I love being able to share with this incredible community of crafters. I want to give a huge shout out and special thank you to my amazing Patreon members. If you're interested in joining Patreon, please click the link in the description underneath the video here on YouTube. Patreon is a private community where you can support more of what I do. There is exclusive content, information, and behind-the-scenes content. Top-tier members will receive a handmade birthday card during your birthday month, access to D-Stash, and monthly exclusive lives, plus so much more. We would love to have you join our growing community.